Evening settles along the Mekong, soft light on water, oars whispering, women stacking baskets for the next trip. A single voice cuts close and low. Sleep, little one, while the river holds our stories. That line is not for me to explain away. It is a hand extended across the water. Quiet stones, loud stories.
Welcome. I'm Sam Nang Bradley. Tonight we follow women along the Mekong, boat women, market mothers, and raft operators whose lullabies stitch daily labor, local myth, and family memory into the river's current. Over the next half hour, we'll listen closely. Field recordings, short voices from the riverside, and a little history about how these songs keep skills and care alive.
And I'm Sovan Linda. We'll be keeping it very sound forward, so expect ambient moments that lift you into place. We'll also pause to explain what these lullabies do. Not just soothe, but teach. How to read the river's moods, how to mend a net, and how to pass on a world that shifts with every season.
Context Corner. The Mekong is an artery for many Cambodian communities. For generations, families moved, traded, and raised children from its banks. Lullabies here sit inside work, on boats, under market awnings, beside stoves. They fold practical instruction into melody, directions, cautionary tales, the names of currents and markers only locals know. We'll link field sources and readings in the show notes for anyone who wants to dig deeper.
From an ethnomusicological view, these are oral repertoires, what scholars call situational songs, short, flexible, and meant to be adapted to the moment. They aren't written down. They live in gesture, in a mother's cadence when the wind picks up, in a boatwoman humming while she untangles a net. The layers here matter: the song, the work, the child, and the community that recognizes those lines.
Scene 1. Dusk at a small riverside landing. I walk toward a group of women folding tarps. The smell of fried banana drifts from a nearby stall. An elder boatwoman, Mom Sochenda, looks at me with a steady, knowing smile. She sings a short line to a sleeping child tucked under her arm. When the water sings, remember the path of the fish. I asked her what that line does. She said, speaking softly, that it teaches the child to feel the river, to be careful of eddies and shallow sand at low tide.
Listen to how practical knowledge is embedded in a lullaby image. Path of the fish. That phrase carries navigational cues and a worldview. Children learn metaphors tied to lived experience. This is how intergenerational transmission happens without a textbook, through repeated lines at routine moments.
Scene 2. A market stall where women barter and sing at once. The melody changes with the work, sharper when a negotiation needs emphasis, sing-song when a child is coaxed to taste a new fruit. I recorded a short exchange where a mother teaches a 3-line chorus. Tie the basket tight, count the knots, let the river tell you when to rest. The woman laughed and said that part about counting knots is a family joke, and also a real lesson in seamanship.
An important note about the recordings we include: we conducted consent briefings and invited participants to review sensitive segments. We worked with a local liaison to explain how audio would be used and offered fair compensation. Those details, who did what, and how we credited them, are in the show notes.
Scene 3. A quiet raft at night. The stove's rasp, a child's breath, the chorus of oars a little way off. Here, an adolescent, taught by his grandmother, hums a line that's more of a work song than a lullaby. Push when the moon is pale, lean with the current, don't rush the bend. Even in a soothing melody, utility lives. How to hold an oar, how to judge depth by moonlight. When I asked him why sing these to sleepy children, his grandmother said, "They learn while they rest. The song puts the skill inside their bones."
Soundscape interlude. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine a layered mix, water lapping, distant market calls, a woman humming the lullaby refrain we opened with, thin and persistent like a thread. I want you to hear how these sounds sew a place together. The work, the cooking, the small chants that name the world.
When we returned to villages to ask elders about change, many spoke of worry, young people moving to Phnom Penh, different livelihoods, and the way phones put new rhythms into daily life. But several women told us the songs adapt. New verses are added, sometimes about engines, sometimes about new risks, and the structure remains, lullaby as instruction and comfort.
I want to read a short quote from an elder we recorded. Her voice is steady. "Our songs are nets. They hold things when the river takes other things away." That image stuck with me. It's not romanticizing labor. It's naming care. These are songs forged in repetition and responsibility.
A practical aside for listeners who travel or record: always ask permission, clearly and in the local language if you can. Offer to share a copy of the recording, agree on how it will be used, and compensate people fairly for their time. Use a consent script, get verbal release on tape, and follow up with written notes in show materials. We added a short sample consent script in our show notes to make this easier for you.
If you're moved by the music, consider supporting community-led cultural projects, local archives, teaching programs, or makers who craft instruments. Don't assume recordings belong to you. Ask how to amplify voices in ways partners recommend. In short, respect, compensate, and collaborate.
Before we close, what does preservation mean here? It isn't only about making an archive. It's about sustaining practice. That may mean funding local workshops, backing school programs that teach traditional songs, or working with cultural centers so elders can teach without their work being extracted for someone else's gain.
Closing. On that riverside, I watched a child learn to hum a line while helping fold a tarp. The lullaby was both lull and lesson. Soft, pragmatic, alive. Our hope with this episode is not to freeze these songs in amber, but to listen with humility and to support the people who hold them. Quiet stones, loud stories. Thank you for walking the river with me tonight.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to Ancient Echoes KH so we can keep bringing you Khmer voices and sound-rich field stories. Visit our show notes for transcripts, credit details, and links to local groups doing preservation work. Subscribe, share, and if you can, support the artists and communities you hear. Som Nung Bradley. Listen, learn, belong.